What happens when the leader of a country finally admits the truth, but only after years of denial? What happens when the words you've been waiting to hear are spoken, but not out of honesty, out of fear? Today, something remarkable happened at the very top of British politics. A revelation that exposes weakness, betrayal, and the pressure of a public that's had enough. Let's break it down. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just witnessed something extraordinary, though not for the reasons Keir Starmer might like. For the first time, the Prime Minister has openly admitted that Labour got it wrong on migration. His words, not mine. Labour, he says, shied away from the concerns of the British public. Now, let's stop right there. Think about what that means. For years, ordinary Britons have been raising the alarm, telling politicians that our communities are being stretched, that our housing, our services, our culture, our borders are under enormous pressure. And for years, Labour politicians called those people bigots, racists, and worse. They dismiss legitimate concerns as nothing more than far-right talking points. Yet, here we are with Starmer himself conceding that migration is where some on the left went wrong. Of course, it's where they went wrong. It's where they betrayed Britain. And notice when this admission comes, not during a general election campaign, not while Labour were in opposition. No, this comes ahead of a global summit of left-wing leaders, the so-called Global Progress Action Summit. That tells you everything. He isn't speaking honestly to the British people. He's positioning himself for an audience of international elites, worried sick about the rise of what he calls the populist right. Starmer even wrote in the Telegraph that illegal immigration has been ignored by left-wing parties, including his own. He said, and I quote, "It has been too easy for people to enter the country, work in the shadow economy, and remain illegally." That, ladies and gentlemen, is an astonishing confession. It's an admission that Britain has had open doors, that our economy has been deliberately undercut by shadow Labour, and that both major parties stood by while it happened. But make no mistake, this is not humility. This is damage control. Starmer isn't suddenly on your side. He's trying to get ahead of the anger that's boiling over across Britain. He's seen Reform UK climbing in the polls. He's seen over 1,100 migrants land on our shores in a single week. And he knows that ordinary people are furious. So what does he do? He gives the appearance of honesty, but then he goes straight back to attacking the very people who've been proven right. He lashes out at Reform, sneering that their simple slogans won't solve the problem. Really? Well, here's the irony. Those so-called slogans, stop the boats, put Britain first, secure our borders, those are precisely the things millions of people are crying out for. It isn't empty sloganeering. It's common sense. And then Starmer tries to distance himself from the tries. He talks about the Boris wave of immigration where under the Conservatives, migration soared to record highs. He blames it on what he calls a hyperliberal free market viewpoint. That's rich, isn't it? Because Labour's record isn't any better. They opened the doors under Blair. The Tories opened the doors under Boris. And the truth is this. Both parties betrayed Britain. Starmer ends his piece with high-minded rhetoric about Britain's so-called choice between decency and division, renewal and decline. But let's be honest, who created the decline? Who fostered the division? Who ignored the concerns of ordinary people until it was politically convenient to admit the obvious? Labour and the Conservatives. Together, they built this mess. And here's why this matters. Starmer's admission might sound like progress, but it's not. It's theatre. It's a confession under duress. He admits it because he has no choice. He admits it because the boats are still coming. Because his government looks powerless. And because he knows the political ground is shifting under his feet. The British people have had enough. Enough of excuses. Enough of being patronized. Enough of being told that mass migration is an unqualified good. while we can see with our own eyes the pressure it places on housing, healthcare, schools, wages, and community cohesion. So, here's the bottom line. Starmer has admitted Labour's betrayal. But don't think for a second that means he's going to fix it. Until there is genuine action, real border control, real enforcement, an end to the shadow economy and a government prepared to put the British people first, nothing will change. This isn't about slogans. It isn't about populism. It's about survival, national, cultural, and economic survival. And the truth is, the establishment parties have failed. The question now is simple. Are the British people ready to hold them accountable? Because Starmer can admit Labour got it wrong all day long. But unless Britain takes a clean break with the very parties that caused this disaster, his words are meaningless. So, let's call it what it is, an admission of guilt, not a plan for change. In other news, Nigel Farage has launched a scathing attack on government proposals for mandatory digital identification cards, declaring himself vehemently opposed to this in every single way. Speaking recently, the Reform UK leader warned that such a system would grant the state unprecedented power to monitor and control citizens' daily activities. The benefits are clear. The state can control every single aspect of your life, Nigel stated, outlining what he termed the endless possibilities of digital ID implementation. His fierce criticism comes as Prime Minister Keir Starmer prepares to unveil plans for a compulsory brick card system on Friday aimed at verifying individuals' rights to live and work in Britain. The proposed scheme would require all UK adults to obtain digital identification, marking a significant shift in how citizens interact with government services. Nigel detailed specific scenarios where digital ID could enable government overreach. They can know where you are at every given moment. They can decide you can't go to Marba, you've used up your carbon footprint for the year, Nigel said, acknowledging some might consider his warnings exaggerated. The system would enable comprehensive surveillance of citizens' movements and financial transactions. According to Nigel's assessment, he emphasized these weren't merely theoretical concerns, but represented genuine risks inherent in centralized digital identification systems that could fundamentally alter the relationship between individuals and the state. Nigel drew parallels to coronavirus-era restrictions, citing vaccine passports as evidence of government overreach. Frankly, for me, I saw enough during the pandemic with vaccine passports. It created a two-tier society of who could travel and who couldn't, he explained. He recalled how unvaccinated individuals faced discrimination during that period. You were seen as a danger unless you were vaxxed. Our freedoms were taken away in that period like we have never seen before, Nigel stated. Beyond civil liberties concerns, he highlighted cybersecurity risks, warning about potential data breaches if hackers access the system. Nigel dismissed government claims that digital ID would combat illegal immigration and underground employment. We're told it will stop illegal immigration. It will stop people working in the illegal economy. I don't believe a word of it, he concluded. The government's digital ID proposals have sparked widespread opposition from civil liberties organizations. 8 groups, including Liberty, Big Brother Watch, Article 19, and the Runnymede Trust, have cautioned that mandatory identification could prove uniquely harmful to privacy, equality, and civil liberties. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood has expressed long-standing support for ID cards, referencing her backing of Labour's previous attempt to introduce them. The proposed system would require workers to present digital identification when starting employment with details verified against the government database of those entitled to work in Britain. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you have not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.